All right, all right. Appreciate you guys for bearing with me. Let's go ahead and get into some things. So this is going to be the new format that we're trying out here. I want to see how you guys like this side. Basically, I'll be playing and doing things of that nature, but I'm also going to talk about a whole bunch of topics. So today we're going to talk about Andy Dalton's MVP odds. We'll talk about the training camp schedule, and then we'll also talk about the Bengals fan ranking as well as the defensive line battle, and then I'm going to open the floor up for a Q&A live. So if you see this stream, you'll see and notice that there's a black kind of window over to the side, and you guys can drop your questions there and I'll go ahead and answer them. So first, obviously, this is our YouTube page. If you're not aware of our YouTube page, for those listening in the podcast, you can find us on YouTube at New Stripe City. We're building up our channel and everything like that there. So make sure you follow us there. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook. We also have the Bruh t-shirts. I talked about it a little bit last week. And we're doing a giveaway. And a lot of the proceeds, 10% of the proceeds are going to anti-bullying. So if you cop a t-shirt, it's definitely going towards a good cause for sure. We're also doing the Ocho Cinco giveaway on YouTube as well. So if you subscribe to this channel, for the first 1,000 followers, we're actually end up being selected and picked for a chance to win an Ocho Cinco autographed photo. And it's legit. It has like the trademark stamp and everything. So make sure you check that out. And with all that being said, we'll go ahead and start. So Andy Dalton, the actual MVP, I guess, Bovada provided the chances of the MVP, and Andy Dalton is actually ranked 100 to 1 as far as his odds to win the MVP. And I thought that was pretty interesting because Andy Dalton actually has a lot of weapons this year. And we look back at 2015, and 2015 looks to be an MVP kind of year for Andy Dalton. And you're talking about a guy who has way more records, or way more weapons, than he did then. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Yeah, I kind of understand it. Andy isn't that much popular in big circles, but I think he has a pretty good chance, given the weapons, aside from this offensive line. So if this offensive line doesn't work out, then that could be the only thing that would mess him up, essentially. But I think he has a pretty good chance of winning it. You talk about the reloading of the weapons. You also talk about the schedule that we have, and Marvin Lewis going into a contract year. This is a big year for the Bengals. Obviously, the Patriots have reloaded. They just signed David Harris, so that could be potentially an issue there. But essentially, he would have a pretty good chance of doing it. You look at this offense. You talk about Joe Mixon, a new running back. You talk about John Ross, a new wide receiver, very fast. You talk about A.J. Green coming back, possibly a healthy Tyler Eifert. Man, this Bengals offense can be really good. So when the weapons are around Andy, he's a guy that definitely knows how to utilize his weapons. So I think that he has a great shot of going out and possibly putting up an MVP type season. It's crazy that Carson Palmer is actually expected to have better odds at winning the MVP. Kind of weird, bro. But yeah. So those are basically my thoughts on Andy. And with that being said, I'll talk about training camp. So training camp kicks off July 28th at 2:30 for those who are located in Cincinnati. It's actually going to run on the 29th, the 30th, and the 31st of July, and then also on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of August. So if you guys are waiting for that, this is a time where the off season is pretty down and people are kind of looking forward to seeing the guys and everything like that. Training camp is always a good time for me because it kind of gets us into that football mode. And obviously the guy that I just threw to, John Ross, is going to be possibly active during that time. So you talk about a guy like Ross that could be out there. We'll see a lot of the training camp battles. There's been a lot of talk about the wide receiver position, who's going to come, who's going to stay. You look at the defensive line, that's pretty loaded. And training camp will essentially give us a better look at that because you'll get to see some of those battles. You'll see who's being moved into the first team offense, who's being moved into the second team offense. So guys like Joe Mixon and guys like John Ross are what you kind of want to look at going into that. So you want to see where they're at. Even Tyler Boyd, you want to see where he's going to line up at. Brandon LaFell, is he going to be out there on the first team? Is him and John Ross, are they going to rotate? So those are going to be key questions that we can answer in training camp. So that's what makes training camp so essential, exactly. And another thing that I want to talk about that a lot of people haven't talked about is the defensive line battle. So I'm just going to pull up the actual defensive line for those who are viewing this YouTube stream right now. So let's see. And I think that this is a pretty interesting battle because if you guys have been paying attention to my channel, I actually simulated the season, and the computer actually simulated who they thought would make the roster, and there were some surprising cuts on that actual update. So we're going to start out with the D tackle position. Obviously, Geno Atkins is a guy that's going to stay. Andrew Billings is expected to start as the nose tackle. Pat Sims, he's kind of in a, I'd probably say 60-40 type of boat because he's 31, you know, he's been on the team. He doesn't make too much, but the Bengals did draft Ryan Glasgow, who's the next guy in the 4th round, and he could definitely challenge Pat Sims. So there's no way to tell how many defensive tackles will actually be on the roster. And then you also have Brandon Thompson. Brandon Thompson is going to be there. You also have David Dean, Deshaun Williams. So it's going to be a big kind of competition there for the Bengals. Okay, so moving on to the defensive line. The defensive line is pretty stacked as well. And you have Michael Johnson. You also have Jordan Willis, Will Clark. So they're going to have to fight it out right there. Also on the left side, you have Carlos Dunlap. You also have Carl Lawson, who's expected to be on the roster as a linebacker, but could get some snaps. You also have Marcus Hardison, who could also be there. Chris Smith is a guy that we grabbed from the Jaguars who could also be on there as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how many of these guys stick. They normally keep about 10 defensive linemen. So I think that that's going to be key heading into this season, is to keep an eye on that during training camp. Let me know if you guys can in the comments who you think will make this roster from the defensive line, and who do you think more than likely, better yet, who do you think will get cut from this roster. But yeah, man, it's definitely going to be a battle. I look forward to seeing how things are going to play out. And if you haven't checked, if you're pretty bored and you want to see something that's going on, subscribe to my channel and watch these streams. I like to essentially match this team up with the new rosters against guys that they could be going up against this year and see how good that they'll actually do. I think that this team can be special. I like to guys that aren't even in the same jersey. I mean, I feel like this is a little bit better. So when you can, check that out. But yeah, like this format. If so, I'll keep going forward with it. But if not, we can switch back to the old one. So I'm going to go ahead, and since there hasn't been much Q&A, we can do this up. But I just wanted to touch base with you guys and try a new format and see how things go. But I'd love to have a Q&A session on here every Thursday with you guys to see what your thoughts are, to show you some cool highlights. Even if you want to see specific players from the Bengals, if you want to see me play with them on Madden, that's cool too. I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a visual. I know we do the NFC live shows and everything like that. So those are cool, but I wanted to add a little bit of a different format to it as well. I kind of want to see how this is going to go. So let me know in the comments. If you guys like this, if this is cool, just let me know. But I'm going to try to feed you guys as much Bengals content as possible. That's what my aim is with this channel. And there's not much Bengals content on YouTube. So my plan is to just basically hit up YouTube with all of this Bengals content so that you guys are entertained and so that we hold you guys down up until July 28th. That's a long time from now, guys. So I think that since I'm a fan, since you're a fan, we understand this stretch of the NFL offseason and how painful it is essentially to kind of watch some of this stuff happen. So I'm not the best Madden player, as you can see. I actually just got the game a couple of weeks ago, so we'll see how things playing out. But yeah, if you also haven't checked out my new video on the AJ Green reenactment Browns catch, check that out too. It's pretty dope. I had 2 crazy catches with AJ Green where I feel like they were pretty close to what he did. against the Browns. And I'm also going to open it up for you guys to suggest any kind of recreations of certain plays that you'd like to see. So one that I was thinking of was the Giovanni Bernard Miami Dolphins touchdown run. I know that that's going to be crazy to do, but if I could pull that off, that would be pretty dope as well. But anything that you really want to see, let me know, man, because we have plenty of time. Ooh, mixing with the fumble. I didn't like that. But, yeah, just let me know, and we can move from there. Hey, what's up, Mud Player? Green is the greatest of all time. I agree that he could definitely end up being one of the greatest wide receivers to ever play this game. You would think that more people would feel like that, but I think that he definitely is up there with Julio Jones. I don't think that there's any much of a big gap in between them. Ooh, bad pass. But yeah, Green is definitely the GOAT for sure. But